are live and direct.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
What is going on, party people? My name is Kyle Springer.
And I'm Paul Kang.
And we are the Whatnauts.
You're goddamn right we are.
Yes, sir. You are listening to another exciting adventure of the Captain's Log.
Ooh.
This is episode 7, I believe.
The holiest number in the world.
It's a good complete number. It's in a lot of like mystical stories. 7.
It ain't 6.
Nope.
It ain't 8.
Nope.
It's 7.
Yep. It's a scary number. Do you know why, Paul?
Because 7, 8, 9.
There you go. You nailed it. Woohoo! End the show there. Amazing.
Damn. Bye guys. See you next week.
Yeah, so if you did not know, each week Paul and I get to hang out, talk about life and comics and movies and whatever the hell we want, and get into all sorts of mischief that we don't get into on our other shows.
Nope.
And that's right, I said shows. That means we have launched a third show.
What?
Can you believe it?
God damn.
Crazy.
No, I'm part of it and I don't believe it.
So we've had 2 shows for a while now. We've had the self-titled Whatnauts, and then we've had this, the Captain's Log. But just this past weekend, we launched a third show called The Reactor Core, and it is freaking sweet. It's going to be a special show. It won't be out weekly, might not even be out monthly, but it is for special occasions. Big blockbuster movie events or Netflix shows that both of us just cannot miss. And what did we open up the first one with, Paul?
Black Panther.
Hell yes, Wakanda for fucking ever.
Wakanda forever.
So if you want to go see our thoughts on Marvel's newest movie, Sensation, go to YouTube or on our podcast services wherever you find us, and we give some spoiler-free thoughts on the Black Panther film, as well as some spoiler thoughts on that. Go check it out.
So good.
Yes.
Go watch the movie and then go listen to us talk about
Yes,
it. Okay.
exactly.
We're like dessert. All right. We're not the main course. You know that. We're not the main course. You go to the main course and you're like, that was fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Now I want something to cleanse my palate.
Yeah.
I want something to make sense of the whole night. Give it context.
Yeah.
We're the dessert.
Mm-hmm. It's that good stuff. Creamy.
That's like good stuff. Put that in your mouth and you swallow it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you can spit it out.
That being said, this week we got some stuff to talk about. Marvel Comics just released some news that they are doing a fresh new relaunch of all of their comics, and ooh, boy, that is a can of worms. We're going to be talking about that, and as well as some like comic book dream teams. Paul wanted to ask about some of that stuff and more.
We got questions, bitch.
We got questions. We got questions. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. But first, I just want to see how my friend is doing. Mr. Paul Kang, what are you fucking doing with your life?
Man, what am I not doing? What am I not doing? I try to be honest with every Captain's Log. I mean, I try to be honest with everything I podcast, but
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with Captain's Log, I can relax. I can be more myself. I can talk about whatever I want. This is a good time. I'm currently making a joint right now, so
There you go.
I'm not high yet.
Oh,
but,
man. You're slacking.
I know.
You're
I just
usually
had sex.
ready to go.
I just had sex, so I'm like, all right. Give me a minute. I gotta smoke. This is post-sex joint, which is like the best kind of joint. Anyway, I'm actually naked right now. I'm in my living room and I'm naked.
That's
I'm not even dressed.
Only way to podcast. The only way.
That's what you get. That's the kind of open access you get with the Captain's Log.
Yeah. One day we do
anyway.
want to have cameras for our show. I've been on Paul about, hey, get a nice camera. And
I'll do this naked. I don't give a fuck.
Maybe
I'm not
one
kidding.
day, yeah. One day you'll get to see Paul naked.
No. I kind of want to make it a point that I'm shirtless every episode. It gives me an excuse to work out, a reason. No. I'm doing pretty good, man. Yesterday, this is crazy. Yesterday, I got super baked, but not normal baked. I used my bong for the first time in a while. I have this big glass bong, pretty tall, and I haven't used it in a while. So I took it out, washed it. It was glistening after I was done. It was just gorgeous. It was like, I got the rock salt, I got the rubbing alcohol. You gotta combine the two inside it. It's like, it's good to go. I sit down at my veranda. I open the windows. There's a light breeze. It's amazing. Like, good sunny day. I can hear birds. I light up the joint, take it all in, and I just go to my kitchen. I'm all alone. My girlfriend's at school, and I just like I became enlightened. Like, like the Buddha became enlightened.
Yes, I know
Like,
of the Buddha. We read a big manga about him.
Yeah. You know what happened
One
to
point.
him? Where he's like, oh, like, this is all temporary.
Yeah.
I'm just a part of everything. That happened to me yesterday in my kitchen.
You seem to have a lot of these, especially recently.
Yeah,
Because on
yeah. It's,
on our episode on Tekken Concrete, you were like, "Look, dude, this past week I was like transcendently high, and I had this vision, and it was a wild ride."
yeah. Well, we'll see. With marijuana, it's like it. There's different types of revelations. You know what I mean? Depending on the dosage, depending on the amount of sun you get, just depending on the weather, depending on your mood. I was just in a good mood. I had nothing to do. I had so little concerns in my mind because Mondays I've like nothing to do. I had so little concerns in my mind that my consciousness, my mind, it didn't have anywhere to like go. You know what I mean? Like, usually you're like, oh, I'm worried about my friends. I'm worried about my parents, about my job. I had no concerns, none
Okay.
whatsoever. So I didn't have a context for being. You know what I mean? I had no worries. I was just there, and then I got super high. And so my already contextless mind, I'm not even thinking
Yeah.
at this point, is now taken on a deeper level of non-context. And I started watching cars go by. I have this great view of the highway from my window. I was just watching cars drive by, and I was like, those are big metal bug-like things, and they're going at a certain speed. And I looked in the windows, and I was like, there's people in there. And I was like, that metal thing is going so quickly because there's a person inside that has his own mind and his own consciousness, and and he's driving it based on vision. And I was like, holy shit. And I see hundreds of cars, and it just fucked with me. And I was like, holy shit. And I went to my living room. I sat down. I couldn't think. I was just like, yep, this is me. This is who I am. This is my existence. I felt very present. It didn't feel like I had a past or a future. I just felt there. And I turned on some YouTube videos, and randomly there was an Alan Watts video. He was a British philosopher.
Okay.
And he's like, a random video, and he was like, when you reach enlightenment, as the Buddha describes. And I was like, here we go. He's like, and Alan Watts, one of the greatest minds, proceeds to describe exactly how I was feeling.
There you go.
And he's like, when you reach enlightenment, you don't forget that you're a person. It's not like you disappear. No, you're still very aware that you're a person. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm feeling. I was like, I still know who I am. But you'll realize that you are merely temporary, and that this is just your vehicle, your life. And after that, you just move on.
Yeah, you're a meat
And
bag.
you're no longer
and that's
afraid
it.
of death. You're just no longer afraid. You're just no longer preoccupied. Well, you're preoccupied. You can still you can still make a good life here and still do things, but it's all temporary. And I was feeling that, and then I heard him say this, and I was like, oh, I just hit enlightenment.
There you go.
Like, I'm not afraid. Like, and I'm not saying it's a permanent state, but for a while I was not afraid of death. I was not afraid of. I wasn't afraid of anything. I was just like, oh, this is all temporary. I'm just a passenger. This is just a meat vehicle.
Meat vehicles.
Yeah, that's all it is. And my friends are also meat vehicles, and that means that there's something there watching, taking it all in. But so me, Paul Kang, is a mixture of that thing, the passenger, and my meat body and my environment around me. And all that became very all that became very clear. Very clear. Not a lot of people go through this. A lot of people just go, they're doing their job 9 to 5. They have too many things to focus on for them to just empty themselves of everything.
It's almost like there's so much for a lot of people that they just become numb, and it's another way to like stop thinking, but it's not the like your mind is clear and you feel free and weightless. It's just like this. I'm so bogged down that I can't think.
Yeah, and in no way am I saying I'm a guru now and I'm above everyone. I'm floating 10 No.
And on our new segment, Paul gives life advice.
Exactly. No. I'm not saying I'm above anyone. The opposite. I'm saying like I'm just a passenger. Of course I'm responsible for my actions, but really this is just a high def 4K video that I'm watching. And it's only temporary. I'll take off the goggles soon. But while I'm here, I'm going to try to have a good time. Just try to reduce as much pain as possible. Try to bring as much pleasure, both physically and, mentally, to myself and to my friends. And that's it. It's that simple.
Cool.
And you feel that. And I know what you're thinking. You're hearing this and you're like, you know what? That's cool, Paul. But like when you're there, it's terrifying how clear it is. How succinct and crystallized it is.
Sure.
I want everyone to go through that. To be like, wow, like this is only temporary. This is a meat vehicle. I am that thing behind my eyes, But yeah, it's a good time. And yeah.
There you go.
So yeah.
Good stuff. Crazy week for you then.
Yeah. Just it sucks. I feel good. I'm making a joint right now. My life is good, man. Like I fuck the 9 to 5. Fuck all these, all these establishments and the man. We were born into this. You're born into it. Kyle, I have a question. And anyone listening, I have a question. When you turned 18, did the government come to you and say, "Hey, buddy, you're 18 now. We've thought about it, and that's the age where you are an adult. Would you like to join our society? If you pay our taxes, you can do all these things, blah, blah, blah." They don't do that. Not really.
Nope.
No, the moment you're born at the hospital, when you're most vulnerable, they're like, "What's his name? Here's his number. Here's his number. He was born here, so now he's one of us. What's his number? Yeah. And like, oh, and if you want to leave, you have to have a passport. I just want to walk over there. No, you need a passport for that. But I can see it. It's right over there. No, you need a passport. Okay. It's just you're born into it. You're a sheep. Every time you go to the job, that's just every time Trump or some authority figure is like, jobs are rising. That's literally just saying like, the cows are making more milk this year. You're just born into the system. They never ask you for your permission. They if you don't give them money, if you don't give them a percentage of your money every month, we're gonna put you behind iron bars, steel bars, without your permission, just because we're the ones with the guns.
There you go.
And no one questions that. No one questions that. And yesterday I got really high and I saw how everything worked, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So, whoever's listening, Kyle, the many tens of people listening, just
all three of you out there.
realize that you were born into this. That they did not ask for your permission. That they did not ask you when you were of sound mind and of good age, "Hey, would you like to join society?" If not, you can do as you please. You don't have to pay taxes. You can just live in the mountains. It's cool. No. The social contract is there at birth, and we're just sheep. Okay.
Society is so strange.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I only took like a sociology 101 class, but if I was to do any like academic subject, I writing can fit in for academic, but it's also an art form, right? But like,
of course,
purely academic stuff for me, I think sociology would be something that I would be super interested in, because it's fascinating. Just like
Sure.
who decided all of this stuff, and why?
Right?
Why did, like, sure, there are laws out there that we've kind of collectively put together and stuff like that. That makes sense. But then there's a lot of stuff that's just like unsaid, unspoken, and it's just like, well, that's the way it is. It's like, what? Why? Who said that we have to do, X, Y, and Z this way?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Strange.
anyone who speaks out
Fascinating.
is killed in public spectacularly. Think about it. Jesus, he was like, fuck the Romans, fuck everything, fuck Judaism, love one another. Boom, dead. Martin Luther King Jr. Love one another, equality, brothers and sisters, skin color. Boom, dead. Gandhi, love one another, be peaceful to one another. There are no boundaries, peace over. Boom, gone. Name a revolutionary, they're dead. Violent deaths.
Yep. That's what society does. It's strange.
Violent deaths. And it's just like, and like I just want to say one more thing. I know you don't like, I know people don't tune in for our politics. I get that. I'm just saying this just because I was high. That's all. I'm not trying to make this into the Young Turks, okay? Fuck that shit. All I'm trying to say is this. If you're Mexican, there's a lot of Mexicans where they just wake up, they look out their window, they can see Texas. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
They can see Texas. They can see it with their naked eye. And if they get up and they can see it and they're just minding their own business and walking, if they take another step, they're trespassing. Just because they're walking. They can get shot for that. They can get killed for that, sent back over.
Mm-hmm.
And no, we're okay with this. We've given the governments this much power. It's a police state.
Sad thing. You know what else is a sad thing?
What?
Paul, and this is about to switch gears entirely.
Sorry.
Here. No, you're fine. You're totally fine. This is actually, it's not that sad. It's kind of more funny. We got a copyright strike on our Black Panther movie review.
No.
Thing. Yeah, we did.
We made it, Kyle.
we made it. We made it the big time. Disney noticed us.
We made a big enough splash. Disney noticed us?
Disney noticed. Well, YouTube noticed us. YouTube and Google noticed us. They noticed your singing in particular, Paul.
Are you serious?
They recognized whatever notes you hit, somehow you tipped off their algorithms to let them know that you were singing Circle of Life.
Holy shit.
For the Lion King and stuff like that, which I put in as a blooper, like at the end of
Holy shit.
the thing.
My singing was that good?
It recognized it.
Holy shit.
Long story short, Disney has not done anything. I doubt they will. I've heard they're pretty good with that, with not sending copyright strikes and stuff like that.
You took it down, right? And then did you take it down and then upload it?
No. It was like they sent us an email being like, "Hey, just letting you know, we let Disney know that there's like a potentially used copyright stuff. But if they want to take action, they can. Just be aware of that. And if you want to monetize this video, which we don't have enough support yet to monetize our videos on YouTube, they were like, just know that you won't be able to monetize it." So.
All right. Well, I apologize for that.
No, you're totally fine. It was kind of funny.
Out and just upload the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. Hello to Skep Talk Live in the chat. How are you doing this afternoon, this evening?
I like the word. I like the name Skep Talk.
Skep Talk Live. We were just mentioning we got a YouTube copyright thing for an episode that we did on the Black Panther movie, and Paul was being a little bit extra.
Apparently, I sang the opening to The Lion King so well. Like, not my words. This is what Kyle said. So well that the AI
He's saying it well.
that looks for music. Like, I guess I must have hit just the right amount of notes. And it was like, fuck, that's the Disney song. Oh, these motherfuckers shouldn't have done that.
You sure hit notes. You hit all of the notes. Let's put it that way.
I'm so tempted to sing it again. Like even better, so I'll pick it up faster. And I'll be like, listen, I was just singing. See, this is the police state I was talking about, Kyle. I can't sing something now, and a robot picks it up, and we're getting sued by the fucking biggest corporation on earth next to Coca-Cola.
The robots are taking over. Go
fuck yourself.
I think it was Mark Bernardin. He was tweeting about robots and stuff like that. It might not have been Mark Bernardin, but he was tweeting about the robots that Boston Dynamics are making, and he was like,
God.
Look, Boston Dynamics is fucking scary. The shit that they are doing is ridiculous. But people love dogs. And you know what they did? They made their robots look like dogs so we would like them. That's scary. And I was like,
terrifying.
Holy shit.
Some psychological 3D chess.
He's like, they're onto something.
No, not just that, man. But like, do you know how hard would it be to put a gun on that shit?
Whew.
Just
Taking
to
over
mount
the world.
a pistol.
Taking over the world.
I could do it with a welding gun, with just a welding, with a welding mask.
One day, Elon Musk is gonna be Dr. Doom, and Boston Dynamics are gonna be like
LexCorp.
Hydra. Yeah, it's gonna be the company that Dr. Doom uses to create all of his Doom bots and robots and weapons and things like that. It's gonna It's gonna be terrible.
I mean, I actually shared that video on Facebook, and I wrote, "Does nobody else?" I said, "Does nobody in Boston watch Black Mirror?" Just
yeah.
does nobody in Boston? Do you just
Are
not
they
have
paying
just
attention?
Not get Netflix over there?
We're all
Am I the
scared.
only one
What are
who's
you guys
woke?
doing?
What are you guys doing? It's just like, and they have no reason to stop.
Yeah.
Of course the government wants this. They're gonna give them more money. There's no reason to stop, and it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse.
It's gonna turn into Blade Runner because eventually Elon Musk is gonna send the robots to Mars and be like, hey, we need resources. You should mine all of these resources.
I mean, we already have drones. We already have the tech to put a camera in something and say, this is your eye. This is how you see. They already have autofocus. We've had autofocus since 2004 in the Xbox. They can jump.
They can do backflips. They can open doors.
They can literally do backflips. They can open doors.
I'm scared.
How hard would it be? My brother's a coder. I bet I could say to him, hey, like, how hard would it be to make a robot see with a camera, have autofocus, like focus on moving targets, and when it has a clear shot, pull the trigger? How hard is that?
Not hard
it's
at
not
all.
hard at all. And now they've shit. It's over. We're fucked. We're fucked, Kyle. It's like I just want a reboot of the universe. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do know exactly what you are trying to say, and something else just did a reboot of their universe. Do you happen to know what that is, Mr. Paul King?
What is it, Kyle? You like how I shoved that in there?
If you hadn't said that, I would have been like, you know what? Speaking of like Doctor Doom and stuff
I know
like
what
that,
you were doing,
and things that are fucked, you know.
I still had some shit to say. Sorry.
Marvel Comics just announced that they are relaunching their line of comics. They announced that today, and that is a can of worms, man.
I mean, how many times have they done this?
Nowadays it seems like it's once a year.
God, it's just like Boston Dynamics. They have no reason to stop. They're gonna get the money.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's like, on one hand, as a fan and as a reader, I'm upset and I'm frustrated because it's like, come on, guys, like you don't. It seems like you don't trust your readers nor your own books to do well and to last, you know, that long. And it's just like each year they're like, oh, we're starting with a brand new number one. This is a jumping on point, this and that. It's going to be a new team, new creative team, everything's starting over. And on one hand, yes, that is a good jumping on point for new writers. I think especially with the success of Black Panther, with the upcoming like Avengers Infinity stuff, we don't really know what they're gonna do with the MCU after that, and it seems very likely there's gonna be some kind of relaunch or reboot. On top of that, they just had Brian Michael Bendis leave and go to DC, and he's a huge talent. They just got a new editor-in-chief. Something was coming, so we knew this was happening. But
there was a rumble in the earth.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just kind of another one of those letdowns where we've been like, guys, just let the books continue. Don't relaunch it. Because it gets confusing.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Does that mean that every single writer who's passionately working as hard as they can to produce good stories, all that shit is dashed to the rocks?
Not necessarily.
What does it mean? Like, do you know what this means, or?
So certain books like Marvel 2-in-1 is still being written by Chip Zdarsky. I think he's also writing Spectacular Spider-Man. He's still staying on that book. It's just that certain books are like getting a new creative team. So yes, some did get canceled, some did not.
Fuck.
And it doesn't seem like they're rebooting, like everything is starting from square one, but it's kind of like a relaunch of like, hey, you can start here at this location, and you won't need to know anything else. Yeah, and Skep Talk in the chat says they are bringing back original Thor, although not removing Jane Foster Thor. So it seems like they're kind of doing this thing where it's like, if you like some of the stuff that we've had, it's still going to be there. But if you like some of the original stuff, maybe if you're an older fan, we'll have some stuff for you, which sounds promising. However, it just gets exhausting. And if you're new, it's like, well, where do I start? With this number one or that number one? And why does that, why is that like $699 and now they're about to go to number one, So it's strange. However, Paul, they've announced only a couple creative teams of the new stuff, and a couple months ago, you and I did an episode on The Mighty Thor by Jason Aaron. When he first started writing that book, we did that on our podcast called the Whatnauts, and he's now gonna be on the Avengers, is what they've announced. Like he's gonna head up the main Avengers book. And that has my attention. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, I like Jason Aaron.
My ears are perking up. That sounds good. Who else
Tell
did
me
they
more, Daddy?
announce? They announced Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman on Venom, which sounds very promising. But that's kind of all I've heard so far. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I'm super skeptical. I'm exhausted, but at the same time, like, this is going to make a lot of money for them, especially with the success of Black Panther. So I don't know. What do you think? As someone who does not read comics at like me, what do you think? Does this inspire you to jump on and start checking stuff out, or does this scare you?
I mean, it's a tactic, Every
Sure.
time there's a large movie, like a movement of this size, related to comics, because like you and I look at our stats, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine the statistical analysis team behind Marvel stats? Could you just imagine a fly on the wall? We're talking about billions of dollars, billions of hashtags, shares, Twitter, Tumblr. Like, they're looking at everything,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, "Oh my fucking god, this Black Panther movie is like." They're talking about Marvel.
Yeah.
They're talking about Marvel, and they're like, They're like, what better time? What better time?
But that's the thing. They don't need to relaunch the entire universe to do that. Be like, hey, a
They
brand
gotta
new.
make a
You
splash.
just
They gotta
saw
make a
the
splash.
Black
It's
Panther movie. Here's a brand new story arc starting. In 2 weeks. Get hype. It's coming. You can jump on now. Like, you don't even need to relaunch the thing.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying this is why they're doing it. Because they're like, oh, people are talking about Marvel. What better time now than to, hey, you're talking about it? Oh shit, the new universe #1. We're going back to. It's stupid. You can track it by Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's gonna work. I mean, the fans need to get their stories.
Sure.
No matter what. So it's like, fine, I'll keep paying, but I don't like it, you know? I think the only way it will stop is if the fans revolt, if there's just a boycott. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, true. And thank you for the donation, Andrew. I'm
Ooh.
going to go out on a limb here and say you are Skeptalk, but I could be wrong. But you
Thank
just
you.
gave us $3 on Streamlabs, so thank you
Oh,
for
shit.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Aw.
But yeah. So my question to you, Paul, like, does something like that inspire you to want to check out some of these comics? Now,
Not at all. Not at all. That's the equivalent of like, hey man, you want to move here? Come here. It's beautiful. There's the ocean. There's the sun. Here's the mountains, the tsunamis, the gated community. Wait, tsunamis? The gated community. Yeah, like every once in a while, without warning, there's a giant earthquake and there's a tsunami that wipes out everything. We just start all over again. You want to live here? I'm like, fuck no. I don't want to live here. I want to live in a place with culture, with establishment, with a foundation I can trust. You know? I don't want to live in a place that starts over every once in a while, every year. Fuck that place. No, God, no.
Yeah.
Like, if they were, like, really steady about it, and they did a reboot, like, every, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, I can forgive that. I'd be like, sweet. But it's just too much these days. And I think with the first few times they did it, it was kind of like, okay, we're trying to get more fans. We're trying to, it's our universe is too convoluted. Let's streamline it. Now it just feels like a money grab.
Yeah.
And I'm not even in comics. So, like, I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels rocky. I don't trust it.
Yeah,
to be honest,
that's kind of how I feel now. Like, it's I have this very jaded sense of like, because at first they didn't even mention the word like relaunch. It was just a fresh new start, and I was like, okay, yeah, they're starting to know that we don't like the words relaunch, and then articles started coming out. Yeah, it's a relaunch. So
how dumb do they think we are? We're their employers. Like, we pay them. Like, how stupid do they think we are? We know what you're doing. Might as well be honest about it.
It's a fine line to walk, and you mentioned it too, right? Like, it's a business tactic. This will get them a spike in new readers, in people. I'm definitely gonna check out this Avengers book. And I think,
but
here's
at what cost?
Here's the thing, though. This could end up being really good for them, because
I hope so.
Over the past couple years, a lot of us have been complaining, like, hey, there is a very big lack of diversity here in the characters that you have, as well as your creative teams and stuff like that. And they haven't announced much yet, but what they have. Here's a majority guy team written by all men and stuff like that. And I like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but this is their opportunity to be like, hey, here's an all-women team with women writers, with women artists. Here's a brand new, like, Wakanda Black Panther title. Here's a new Luke Cage title written by people of color and stuff like that. And I think that could get them a lot of points.
If they came out with like a written statement and they're like, "This is why we're doing this," hey, Godspeed, you know?
Sure, but I also don't trust them to do that. And at the same time, I don't want them to do that just for diversity's sake. You know,
Exactly,
like diversity
give the job
great.
to the right person.
We need it. Yeah, we need more diversity in that stuff, and representation is immensely important. But yeah, like I want to see great books, and if you sacrifice quality for diversity, there's also the downsides to that as well. It goes both ways. So you have to find that good balance there. So it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know, let's see what they say.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question. Like, when these decisions happen, like, who makes that decision? Do you know? As a comic book purchaser, consumer, do you know?
They just got a new editor-in-chief. CB Cebulski is his name.
Bullshit.
There was a really weird story with him a couple months ago where it came out that he was at one point writing under a pen name, a Japanese pen name, pretending to be a Japanese man, like writing for Marvel. It was strange. Anyways, he's their new editor-in-chief.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
Why?
Exactly, right?
Why? That's like trans.
It's
like, what's that called? It's like trans racial.
It's ridiculous, but it's one of those things. Like, he's the new editor-in-chief. There's obviously going to be some shakeups. One of their major writers just went over to DC Comics. There's going to be a lot of shoes to fill creatively, and important characters like Miles Morales, we don't know who's writing him or who's going to be drawing him yet.
That shit should be handled with such soft gloves right now.
Yeah, and
I
think that's one of the announcements that I'm waiting to hear. That's who I want to know.
That's their star puppy. That's their bread and butter.
And Jessica Jones too, because
Black Spider-Man. That's their bread and butter.
Brian Michael Bendis also created Jessica Jones. Season 2 comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks on Netflix, and you know, like he's been the one to write Jessica Jones for a while.
Do you know why stars go supernova, Kyle?
They implode.
You know why they implode?
I'm not a scientist. They get bored.
They're so massive. They're so dense that their own gravity, not a black hole, not another star, their own gravity implodes. It causes it to implode upon itself, and it's only a matter of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's unprecedented. I think the way Marvel has grown is unprecedented. I went to Korea. I saw Captain America underwear. Okay, that's how big this shit is. I lived in Korea for 10 months. It's the only shit I saw. I went to China. It was fucking everywhere. Okay, I feel like this is a dying star. It's so big. Its own gravity will kill it.
I think Ike Perlmutter still has a finger in all of this. He's the one that's kind of running the comics division of Marvel, because he's notorious for like cutting costs and stuff like that, and that's why Kevin Feige made his whole thing like, hey, I don't want to have to answer to this guy. Let me be the head of
Kevin
the MCU
Feige is
thing.
God, for all I know.
Which
he can do what the fuck he wants.
Which I think is why the MCU is taking off so well. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. You know, we'll see how that goes. But I know you had some questions that kind of fit in on this. You had no idea about all of this Marvel stuff happening.
I didn't. I just, Kyle, he sent me a message. He was like, hey, try to come up with some good questions today to talk over the podcast. I was like, fine, of course. I found some online. I went to a forum. It's called Comic Geek Speak. The comicforums.vanillaforums.com. You know, and this guy named Torch Song August 2016. He wrote, and these are questions directed toward Marvel and DC. 3 questions to ask Marvel and DC. Torch Song wrote, if money weren't a factor, and we know that it is, but if it weren't, what one character would you like to publish an ongoing title for who doesn't get enough recognition? I think that's a great question. And it's very relevant to right now.
Yeah.
You know, when things are shaking up. What do you think, Kyle? If money weren't a factor.
So yeah,
they
so
just wanted to push it out.
We're talking dream teams right now.
Sure.
I'm actually kind of interested to hear what you say. Like, what would get you rating a book if they announced this writer and this artist on that? I want to know what you think. But one that comes to the top of my head right now, with Brian Michael Bendis just moving over to DC. A lot of people hate his work. A lot of people love his work. I'm kind of in the middle there, but his crime stuff is usually decent.
Sure. Yeah.
I would like to see him on either a Gotham Central book or like a Renee Montoya The Question book.
Okay.
Who would be one of the main characters in Gotham Central, because it's that like gritty crime, crime noir type of stuff happening in Gotham, but Batman isn't necessarily there. It's in that world, it's in that universe, right? But I fucking love Renee Montoya. She's such a good character.
Yeah.
And it like I think what we have has been fantastic. Most of that has been, I think, if not all of it, has been written by Greg Rucka, who I also love.
Powerful Greg Rucka.
Yeah. So something like that would be one for DC. Skeptic Talk in the chat is shouting out Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, who did Civil War, and they also did Old Man Logan.
Ooh, god damn.
Like that. Yeah.
Deep cuts.
Which we did
Deep
an
cuts.
episode of that on our Whatnauts podcast.
Come on, Skep Talk.
As well. That would be neat. I would like to see if they teamed up again. I would kind of like to see them do a Daredevil book.
God damn. You know what I want to see?
What would you want to see, Paul?
I want to see Moon Knight and Black Panther team up.
Interesting. Why?
Could you imagine the dynamic? One of them is this insane psycho who thinks he's 3 people, and the other is the most composed, regal.
He thinks he's more than 3 people.
whatever. And the other one, Black Panther, is T'Challa is like the most composed, regal, beautiful, like, you know, person ever. And like, I just want to see their dynamic, like how they solve problems together, and like the contrast of black and white. And you know, you could call it black and white. I don't know.
I feel like that could go in many different ways.
Would that be amazing? Like T'Challa's just like every panel, he's like, "What the fuck is this guy on?" Like, or rather, like, "What the fuck is this guy?" Like, like just
because it could turn out to be a really strange, almost off-putting buddy cop.
Right
thing,
right,
and it'd be that one of those like oddball comedies that it's like, why does this shouldn't be a thing? Like this shouldn't work,
right?
But I can see it being so ridiculous that it would be strange. Who would you want to write it?
Oh, man,
that's what I want to know. And it doesn't even have to be a comic book writer, because they pull in
I'm gonna list what I want to see, and you try to see if you can list a comic book writer who could do it. I want to see great dialogue between them, a lot of situational comedy. I want it to be fun, but also like really cool. I think they can both bring a lot to the table, stuff that's relevant. You know, maybe race, mental issues. So someone who's got a lot of gravitas in that area, but is also funny. I want to see a moment where it's like, you know, Moon Knight is talking to like Captain America, you know, just in his head, And then Black Panther says something to Captain America, and he's like, "Wait, you can see him too?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's Captain America." Like, you know what I mean? Just like moments like that, because it's all in the same universe. Cause like I was watching Black Panther and in the movie, and I was like, he's like Spock. He's so regal. He always does the right thing. I want him paired with like this insane person, you know, whose color is literally the opposite.
I'm gonna shout out a couple writers here.
Okay. Yeah.
First one that came to mind was Matt Fraction.
Okay.
He's one of the creators of Sex Criminals. He had a recent run on Hawkeye that everyone loved, which was kind of a reinvention of the character and stuff like that. So I think, like we said, if this was kind of the buddy cop thing, this like oddball, like why is this even happening? But why does this work? I think he'd be an interesting one to write it, because we know he has the comedy chops, but we know he has the ability to also take existing properties and kind of reinvent them and rethink them and be like, this, you know, how can we look at this at a different angle? That might be interesting.
I could also see the you're probably gonna say this, but I could also see the person that wrote Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Is that Matt Fraction or
no? That why am I blanking on his name? David F. Walker.
Okay, yeah, I could totally see that. That'd be cool.
That creative team, David F. Walker and Sanford Green, I would love to see on a Miles Morales book. That would be stellar. I think another writer, I have 3 total. So that was my first one. Yeah, like Moon Knight and Black Panther in Rush Hour 5.
Oh, dude.
Skep Talk with the crucial shout out. That'd be really funny.
God damn, join our show, Skep Talk. Pull up a chair.
I think something like that could work. I would kind of like to see Marguerite Bennett on that book, and I don't know why. She's she's working on one of the Batwoman books right now, but she also has a book that is a creator-owned one called Insects, and it's about like Victorian England era lesbian insect women kind of thing. I want her there. It just it's so strange. It's like unapologetically, this is what it is. Like you know. And so I think that could be interesting, because I don't know exactly what to expect.
Exactly. Which is
from that.
When you hear Black Panther and Moon Knight, you're like, I have no idea what's gonna happen, and you want a writer where you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Now here's my third one though, and this is a bit more of a stretch. I feel like wouldn't be as funny. However, I think the characters would be written incredibly well. There's a manga creator that I really like. We've read a couple of his stuff. Naoki Urasawa, who has written things like Monster and Pluto. His character work, and he was the one, Paul, we did an episode on 20th Century Boys. It was that guy.
God damn.
And he just has this really interesting way of making characters feel really real and personal.
Definitely. Yeah.
That I think you would need in a book like that.
Yeah, because there's so much nuance to, you know, Moon Knight. You know, there's so many ways, there's so many layers to him. And also T'Challa, you could talk about how he's a king, and he's like, why am I running around with this fool? Like, you know, just like, because humbling him. I remember
when we read 20th Century Boys, and there's a moment where it's a flashback, and the main character, like his older sister got him a guitar for his birthday, and they're a family that's like dirt poor. They can't afford anything like that, and he opens it up and he puts it on, and the first thing he does, since they don't even have a mirror in their household, it's night time, and he runs to the window and he opens up the curtains, and he stares at his reflection in the window, and he's just like, this is fucking awesome.
I'm a god.
It has this moment where it's like, I bet you anything Naoki Urasawa had a moment like that in his life.
It's too real. It's too powerful.
Yeah,
it can't.
I think with Moon Knight being a character that can potentially speak to mental illness and stuff like that, I think, I think that would be an interesting writer to have on that book.
If I were writing it, I would focus it on the concept of loneliness, because Moon Knight is incredibly lonely,
and being a king
is incredibly lonely. And
good call.
And I would focus on this. I would focus on the story of two sides of a coin. One is white, one is black. You know, I would focus on how different they are, but at the same time, how incredibly similar they are. They're both outsiders. They both are very powerful, and they're both scrutinized and seen as dangerous, seen as something to be feared, something that someone's trying to always get rid of. And I would show how they discover that in themselves and in each other as the story progresses. That's how I would tell that story, and I think that'd be fucking fascinating.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. What about you?
That'd be cool. Well, that's a Marvel thing. What would you want to see in a DC book?
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought
You're
you were
fine.
like. I kind of want. Have they ever done something where and I'm not just saying this because it's cool to say this, but like it would just be interesting, and I'm like wondering if they've ever done it. Have they ever gotten all the black characters together and done like a black thing?
Yeah.
Like where,
I mean,
have
we just read some of the recent Black Panther comics,
No,
and there was that one where the crew steps in, and it's like Luke Cage and Storm, Misty Knight, stuff like that, which is an older book.
I kind of want to see a story where it's like Cyborg meets up with like Martian Manhunter, and with Green Lantern.
I don't think those characters are one. I mean, I guess you could say for Martian Manhunter, we don't see him that often, but those are members of the Justice League kind of thing, which technically
I don't know that.
could fit for Moon Knight and Black Panther too, because Moon Knight was technically part of the Avengers at one point.
The reason I'm bringing up only black characters is because I'm like, that'd be really cool right now. You know what I mean? Like that'd be tight. Like it would just be cool. Like I think people would be, and it just like I can just imagine them like going out just for a night, just like, hey, let's just go for drinks, you know, just talk, and then they like run into like problems, and they all have to solve it together with their powers, you know?
Yeah.
Just something
like that would be cool.
Just like, hey, you know, we're all part of Justice League. You guys want to go for a drink? Sure, yeah, you know. And it's just those three, and like they like solve something cool like that. Maybe like a mini issue. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see that, and I could see it going well. You know, I think people would dig it.
Skeptalk was saying that they want to see DC books, or for what they want to see in their DC books. Marvel books, Marvel comics, and DC villains versus Marvel heroes as well. That'd be
cool.
Interesting mashup. But
what about you, man? What about you? I know nothing about. I bet I'm saying bullshit. Like I have no idea what I'm saying.
I said my DC book already. I would want to see more of the Question or Renee Montoya.
Okay, cool.
For Marvel. Let me think. I don't know, man. I
don't know DC that well. Sorry.
Which is strange because you actually do know more about DC than you know about Marvel since you're a bigger Batman fan.
I know Batman. He's not the whole DC verse.
Yeah, I think they had a short-lived book called Superior Foes of Spider-Man. That was really funny. And I would kind of like to see more like C and D list super villains team up and just be really bad at what they do.
Wasn't there already a comic like that? You said it was hilarious. There's this one guy that wears like stockings on his face.
I don't remember saying anything about stockings on his face, but that's exactly what Superior Foes of Spider-Man is. That's what that book
I think
is.
You told me about that. Like, you really enjoyed that. I think you told me about it like when I visited you.
Yes, that was it. I think the week before you came to the U.S., I was like, dude, I just read the first volume of this book, and it was fucking fantastic.
That's so great.
But yeah, like
I remember.
It's this idea that there are like those throwaway villains that you see that's like who the fuck is Sonic Man, you know? It's just like I'm never gonna see him again. Who's Paste Pot Pete, you know?
How many subpar villains have been how many
away.
of their carcasses have been tossed on the way to glory? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
On the way to Iron Man. And
so
Doctor Doom. And
I would kind of like to see that book brought back. And I'd who would I like to see on that book? I think the obvious answer is Chip Zdarsky on that book, because he's fucking hilarious.
Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah, he's also one of the creators of Sex Criminals.
Are you reading Sex Criminals, Kyle?
Yes,
I think that's the moral of the story.
That book is fucking hilarious. I own the first two volumes.
I think I pitched that one before.
You did once.
Yeah.
But
so
he's so with all the Marvel announcements today, he had this one tweet. He was like, "I'm super excited for all these new teams. I'm super excited to see Jason Aaron on Avengers." I forget who the artist is, but he shouted out him too, and Donny Cates with an artist on Venom, and he just said in artist, but they've already announced that it's Ryan Stegman, and so that's him like poking fun at like I'm just not gonna name Ryan Stegman.
Oh man,
I was just like, Chip, you are fucking hilarious. I love you.
Dude, if we ever become super famous, I'm gonna be like,
if we can
if
get
I ever
him
do an interview, I'm gonna be like,
guest.
yeah, I'm the sole host of the Whatnauts.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff that he does.
I started.
This is my podcast. I started by myself and with some other guy.
Episodes.
You know,
I spend hours. Oh, just you should see me.
It's my podcast that I do with some other guy. You know,
Kyle. How do I say
that?
Kyle?
Yeah, I think
I've never heard that name before.
He's I think he'd be a good fit for that book.
That's cool. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
That'd be
man.
cool. For artist though, I think I would like to see something a little bit more cartoony on that book, since it is a little bit more slapstick. Who is the team on Gotham Academy? That's a little too cartoony, but I think if like Becky Cloonan did some of the artwork, I don't think you're super familiar with her artwork.
I can
Paul,
Google it.
but
I think you and I are creating a new show. Like, if you had to create a comic book, who would you have illustrated?
it's just fun to talk about some of that sometimes. Like, who would win in a fight, you know?
Frank Frazetta or Frank Miller? Tune in.
Oh God.
He's pulling out his 9-iron or his 9-ink. Like, I don't know.
But yeah,
funny.
like I think that would be a lot of fun. I hope Marvel makes the most of what is happening, this big relaunch thing.
Here's all I'm saying. If you're going to relaunch, if you're going to invest all that time and energy and breaks that many hearts of both consumer and producer, I don't mind if you. I don't care what you do with your own property. That's fine. It's yours. I don't own it. It's yours. If you do whatever the fuck you want, not you, Kyle. Marvel.
I mean, I'll still
DC.
do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, just do it for a good reason.
Yeah.
Like just for like if they had a written statement of like this is why we're doing it. We want to include more diversity. We're ignoring too much of the population, uh, not just with our stories, but by the people who create these stories. Like if they did it for that reason, that'd be kind of cool. It
Mm-hmm.
might be a bit of a market of like a hey, look what we're doing, but I could buy that. This they tried to hide it. You told me they stayed away from the word reboot, which I'm like, God damn, that's so shady.
Or at least the first couple of articles that I saw was like their wording was like a fresh new start.
That's so
So
weird.
yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Why are you bringing your comic book universe bullshit into my life, Kyle? God damn it! I'm just Korean. I just want to smoke pot
you
and
like
fuck
talking
bitches.
about this stuff. You know you do.
It's just this is so not my world. It'd be like if you were an MMA. I listen to Joe Rogan podcast, and
Hmm.
sometimes he has this thing called the MMA podcast. It's like a secondary podcast where he just
He does.
invites MMA fighters and he talks to them about MMA. And I'm listening to it, and it's fascinating. Like they're so passionate and they're so driven about what they're talking about. They're like Stipe Miocic and like all immigrant mentality, like all this shit, and I'm just like, oh my god, I wish I cared as much as they did, because I would be enjoying this so. This is what it feels like, except now I'm part of the conversation where I'm like, God damn it, Kyle, I wish I cared as much as you. I wish I cared as much as you, because I'd be having a hell. I'm not saying I'm bored. I'm just
But,
like,
but that's the thing though. I might be more passionate about the comics and stuff like that.
yeah.
I know you're all in when it comes to like science and technology and like
Yeah.
some movies and TV shows too that
Yeah.
did deal with that stuff. So like
Yeah.
we it's kind of in the same realm. It's all pop
Yeah.
culture stuff. So
And I'm not in any way shitting on you. I love that we have these conversations. It's just sometimes I'm like, man, this is going over my fucking head.
last
Brian
thing,
Michael Bendis?
yeah.
Who?
Last
Wait,
thing
what,
that
do
I
you know
want to
from Marvel?
say about kind of coming up with dream teams and stuff like that, I want to give
Yeah.
a shout out to another podcast that I
Oh.
listened to called House to Astonish.
Ooh.
And it's these two guys from I don't know exactly where, somewhere in Great Britain, I believe. And they do like a once a month comics podcast, and it's fantastic. They've been in the kind of reviewing the comics journalism scene for a while now.
Cool.
But at the end of every show that they do a segment called The Official Handbook of the Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe,
Nice.
where there's a book called The Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe, and it's basically an encyclopedia, but they're making their own official handbook to that book, because at this point it's just so fucking confusing. So
How
what
hard
they do,
did you come? How hard, Kyle? How hard did you come when you heard of this?
it's not them necessarily being like, we're gonna make our own version of this encyclopedia. What they do is they take like D-list characters that no one's ever heard of, and they reinvent them for like a modern day thing. Like, what would be the comic for them today now?
Why didn't we think of this?
Yeah, it's genius, but it's usually fucking hilarious what they do.
That's great.
So if you're a big comic book fan, go check out their show.
Yeah.
They have a
What's their
lot
name?
of fun. The comic book podcast that they do is called House to Astonish.
You want to start something? At the end of every show, we should say "fuck House to Astonish" until we get their attention.
Hell
And they'll be-
no.
and they'll be like, "What the fuck?"
I
And we'll
like
be
those
"No,
guys.
I just said that to get
I
your
don't-
attention.
I don't
love
wanna
you
piss 'em
guys.
off."
I love you guys. I just said it because it's hilarious. Fuck House to Astonish.
No. But yeah, fuck them for thinking of that idea first
I
and
know. I mean,
not letting,
hey,
not
if at
letting
any
us do it.
time you want to find more comic book aficionados better than me, and like start your own little podcast, go do that. Don't forget about me, but you can go do that, because I know that I don't have the deep cuts for that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
If
it's one of
you're-
those things. Is like, man, that's such a good segment.
It's such a good idea. They took these like the worst of the worst. They made it relevant.
Skep Talk wants to know if we've heard of the League of Regrettable Superheroes or the Legion of Regrettable Supervillains. And no, I have not.
I have not either. That sounds really great.
My dad and I used to do something like that when we would just make up like stupid ass super villains and superheroes like Forgetful Man. Quick,
yeah, it's called childhood, Kyle.
What's the combination, Forgetful Man? Ah, gee, guys, shit. I forgot. Don't take it out on me, man. Hurry,
Always
slow motion
reliable.
man. We need that key.
Man.
Get over here.
Never reliable. No. That should be the end of the like the world's about to end, and they're like, Forgetful Man, you have the antidote, and he's like, ah, shit, I forgot where I put it. Yeah. That should be the end of every issue.
Yeah.
Like, Forgetful Man.
Yeah. We had one guy whose superpower was that he had like really bad gas, and so he would always be in some situation where he'd be like up in a hot air balloon, and it would like pop, and then he'd fart, and it would like save the day because the hot air would like it was so stupid.
Historical fiction where it's like the Hindenburg's going down, and he's like, and Gasman's like, not on my fucking watch, and he like farts up there, he like grabs it, fills it with his shit.
So apparently the League of Regrettable Superheroes were all books that were actually published, and they regretted publishing them, unsurprisingly.
I need to read this.
The Skep Talk says.
You, Skep Talk. You goddamn. We should do a podcast on it.
That.
We should do one of our reviews on it.
Potentially. We'll have to look into that and see what they are.
God damn, that sounds good. Oh, Definitely. By the way, I just want to remind the audience, what are we doing for our Crunchy Peanut Butter episode? It is coming up soon.
We still have like 2.5 months on that. But so what we do, we have multiple shows. We have this show. We have a show called The Whatnauts. That's our self-titled show, which is basically a book club style show. We read comics, watch movies. Each week it's something new. There's anime and manga and TV shows, all sorts of stuff. But every 3 months we do a special episode of The Whatnauts called the Crunchy Peanut Butter episodes, where we read or watch something a whole hell of a lot longer. The next one we have coming up is on the Invincible comic books by Robert Kirkman. We will be checking those out, and that's we had our most recent one at the end of January, so it'll be 3 months from now. So let's see, February, March, April. It'll be at the end of April.
You don't want to miss that conversation, guys. You want to start reading now, because Robert Kirkman's got the biggest dick in comics, all right? He can fuck you good with that shit.
And the series just ended like 2 weeks ago, or last week.
Read it with us. Join us. Become part of the crowd, motherfucker.
If you guys did not know, we do this show as well as all of our other shows live here on Twitch. You can be in the chat, hanging out with us, just like Skep Talk Live was.
Skep Talk was like MVP of this conversation.
Hell yeah,
he brought it.
He's a better host than you and me. You know,
I assumed the pronoun.
But you can come hang out in the chat with us and talk. We would love to have you. It'll be lots of fun. If you guys missed the live stream, though, it'll be up the week after on YouTube and as a podcast, wherever you can find them. So no need to fret. If you like our shows and you want to support, we are on patreon.com/thewhatnauts. You can throw us a buck. And if not, that's A-OK. We just want you guys to enjoy the show and have fun.
But I will love you more if you give me money.
Yes, you will forever be loved that much more, and
That's what my dad said. That's what I say.
Yes, if you are better children, we will love you more. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. That's how life works. That's life. Okay.
Life's a fucking bitch. Life just sucks, and then you die. That's it.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's why we read Marvel comic books. Life it gets hard sometimes.
And with that, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Kyle Springer,
and I'm Paul Kang,
and we are the Whatnauts.
Fuck. What was her name? What's her
We
name?
are not doing that bit.
Come
Paul.
on. I
We're
wanna get
not
their
doing that
attention.
bit.
Fuck. What's like All Star? What's All Star?
House to Astonish. We love you guys.
Fuck
I
House to
listen to your
Astonish. Go
podcast
fuck
every week,
yourselves,
and it's
House to
great.
Astonish.
Don't
I don't
listen to
even know
Paul
what you
Kang.
guys
He's a
do.
wreck.
Go
We're
fuck
talking
yourselves.
over each other.
This
it's
is
great.
Paul Kang, and I endorse this message.
This
Go
is a
fuck
train
yourself.
wreck of an ending, but we're keeping it. Amen.
Start. Oh, they're loving it. Come on.
It's fantastic. But yeah,
It's all jokes.
like we said, I'm Kyle Springer. He is
And I'm
Paul
Paul
Kang.
Kang.
There you go. Ooh, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
All I know is fuck House to Astonish. I'm kidding.
Anyways, we will see you guys this weekend on Sunday afternoon. You can catch us for another live stream. We're going to be talking about Daredevil Yellow. So if you want to read along, Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time is when you can catch us. Also, our episode on Tekken Concrete, it's a hard name, will be out this Saturday. By time this episode is out for the public, it will already be out. So just be on the lookout for all of our stuff. But
Yeah,
we
man.
will see you guys then. So
Hey, do you know what we should have? Really fast thought. You know what we should have? We're like a radio show, right?
I mean,
We should
it's a
people
podcast.
call in and interact with us.
We can potentially do that. We have a Discord channel, and that is something we can utilize one of the like voice call things for. So maybe it's about time we start using
Discord again?
Discord a little bit more to do the live streams instead of Skype.
I just think it would be really cool because I was like, man, I wish I could hear. What was his name again?
Skeptalk Live.
Skeptalk. I wish I could hear
yeah.
Skeptalk Live talk, like just like
Yeah,
be like,
we have
"Hey
to
guys,
be
like,
real
I really
careful
appreciate
with
this
that,
part."
which he
He or she
points out in the chat. Yeah, because we also don't want to derail the show where it's like, what is going on here?
That's
But
true. I'll tell him to shut up. I'll be like, fuck you, you're talking too much.
yeah, so yeah, we'll have to be careful with that. That might be something we can do on the Reactor Core, because we would love to know what people think. I think that'd be a good show to invite guests on and actually be a guest, because we've kind of avoided guests for the most part here.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So
I think
We'll think
I just
about
think it would be really cool for Reactor Core. Yeah, not for every episode or show, but I think for Reactor Core it'd be really cool where it's like, hey guys, like I love the show. I was just wondering, how did you guys feel about this scene? You know? I think that'd be really cool.
listener mail is always a great thing. You can tweet at us. You can email us at the Whatnauts podcast at gmail.com. That's always a thing, and we'd be more than happy to read out some of the stuff that gets sent in.
Even hate mail.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll see what's that. Now let's end this show for real this time.
All right.
With that, my name is Kyle Springer,
And I'm Paul Kang.
and we are the Whatnauts.
You're goddamn right we are.
Adios, guys.
Fuck how so da da da. Kidding. God. Bye guys.
Bye.